I've always hated Christmas. Not as a holiday, don't get me wrong. It's just the stress of running around, picking up gifts on some busiest days of the year. When my daughter Emily was 7 years old, she was at a doll phase. My wife and I used to baffling on how she was getting still into dolls, and for good reason. She loved the little things. That Christmas, my wife was in a car accident. I wasn't myself that year. I refused to take my time off work. My little girl needed comfort more than ever, and I had to work up the money to get her the best gift I could afford. I realize now that I should have invested time in her, not my job. My wife's parents were willing to look after her with it while I worked, but her cold stares, I could tell they disapproved of my overtime. I went out onto the biggest toy store in town. All the box toys lined up in a row on shelves, taunting myself and all around of her eager parents out there in the shop at the windows. I was near the end of the queue when the doors opened, and after I finally got inside, most of my gifts had been snaffled up from the shelves, except for the shelves near the back of the shop. I walked over, seeing the toys aimed at boys, super soakers, and action figures lined the shelves, except the far left. There were 5 boxes marked with Mille Muffintop, the bubble text across the front. I picked up and there was no clear plastic, so I had no way of seeing the contents of the box. The name seemed to give the impression that the toys were the copy of the popularity strawberry shortcake toys that my daughter liked. I waltzed over to the counters and bought the doll and went home. I knocked on the door of my in-laws' house and was greeted with the dull expression of my late wife's mother. We exchanged a small talk before I drove Emily back home. That night, while Emily was on her couch watching TV, I went to her room and opened up the box to her toy so she could place it on her bed. I carefully opened the boxing. The non-existent eyes greeted me. Hollow eye sockets were the eyes that would have been. I expected the doll fervor, and soon I realized that the eyes were not the worst part about the doll. By far, beneath the clothing lay a bed of slowly decomposing flesh, accompanied by an odor I could barely stomach. The doll was made from the skin of what seemed to be a small child. Crude stitching laced the sides of the doll. I threw the doll across the room. It hit the floor with a thud, much heavier than I would have expected. I came to the horrifying conclusion. There was something inside the doll. I ran downstairs to get a knife, not because of some child's play shit or anything like that, but to cut that thing open. My curiosity had gotten better of me, so I decided to see the doll's contents. "Daddy, what's wrong?" inquired my daughter in a worried tone. "Nothing, sweetie. Just lay down here and watch TV, okay?" I grabbed the knife and crept back up the staircase. As I opened the door to Emily's room, there was a doll lay where I left it. Thank God, I shoved the knife into the side of the doll and pulled it downwards, ripping the side of the doll open. I pulled out the small box, the side of the squeaker. I shook it, hearing multiple sayings and things moving inside. I found an opening and widened it with my knife. I sat there frozen. Inside was a picture of a baby. If I had to guess, I would say she was around 4 months old. She lay limp on the messy floor. I clasped my hand over my mouth, seeing the red pool around the child. I removed the picture and vomited it in my hands. Upon seeing the proof that this was not some sick joke. 2 small eyeballs. They sat above the final item of the box. Some form of receipt lay under my eyes. I soon realized it was some kind of note that usually came along with these kinds of dolls. It read the following: "Hi, I'm Mille Muffintop. Thank you for adopting me as your new baby girl. I promise to be the best sister ever. MM Season 1, #number 43.